to begin.
Check, check. You're listening to The Social Primate on KQBHLP, Los Angeles, California, 101.5 FM, a community service of the Boyle Heights Arts Conservatory. As always, this is your host, Eddie Aguirre, and today we have the one and only Richie Velazquez.
Check the 1, 2.
There we go.
I hear
the
me.
case of the mic that's off.
I'm used to it. Turn the mic on.
You're like, wait a second. Hey, the Social Primate made it onto Richie's notebook.
My secret notebook. My pinky notebook. What's up, man?
Hey, man, thank you so much for making the time to come out here. Honestly, it's an honor to have you on here. I was just mentioning to you outside of the studio that one of the first times that I came across your work was back in 2015. So I was 25, 26 years old, and I was reading Vice, and I saw this art style that really tripped me out. And you called it what? Is it grime?
Yeah. I was just... Everybody, when like Tumblr and all that stuff and hashtags were kind of being born, I was like, dude, like when I started using art, there's like millions of things already on there. I'm like, well, I'm going to call it grime, like grime art, like just grime. It was just one of those things. And I was like, oh, I want to call it something different so people can find it. Cause that's what hashtags were for, you know?
That's when they actually used to work too, the hashtags. Cause nowadays the algorithm be messing with everybody and
now it's too late.
And that's like, yeah, but you know, if I were to flash forward a couple years later, I saw your artwork again through this NFT project called Artifact, and I saw you did some shoes, some pizza shoes.
And at first, it was one of those things that I didn't know was gonna happen. I think it was more like when the NFT stuff were like coming up. I was like, I've been creating for like many years. Like everybody was like blowing up. You kind of had this perception of everybody was just making a lot of money really fast through these like the NFT world, and I was just like, whoa, like wait, I deserve this. Like why am I not part of this? And I got really frustrated, and I was just like, whoa, like so I had to, in order to understand it, I had to go way back and like understand what like money and what NFTs were and all this, what the pretty much the concept was, and while getting lost, I realized, oh, I'm a fan artist. Like that's what my grime art was in the beginning. My grime was just things that I saw and things that I like. So I wanted to express myself through my art. Be like, hey, like he likes that too, or like he likes Ninja Turtles. He likes all these things that are like everything I kind of grimed out. I called it. It was just kind of like homage to the things that I like, and I found a way to kind of connect with other people through things that I like. So people were like, oh, like he likes that too. I liked it. And then it made it relatable, I guess. And it just kind of took off. And then while realizing I was like a fan of art, that's how I connected with Artifact. I was like, oh, like I saw that these guys were like creating these like they were doing something in that little space, that NFT space, that was very interesting to me. And you can kind of like the aura of it was like, oh, these guys are doing something different, you know, or like they're there was just a lot of light coming off of them or whatever through that buzz. And I made fan art, and they saw it, and they're like, hey, we're doing like this project that's gonna drop in 2 days. Can you do a skin? And I'm like, for sure. And I'm like, you two are like Googling what's a skin, like,
trying to figure it out.
I'm like, you know what, I kind of like come from that like side of hustle where you just don't say no to things and just kind of figure it out, because it's like this is you're trying to survive off creating art, and you don't really want to like miss opportunities, so you kind of just learn, you know. And it's just like I kind of did it, and once it released, I didn't really know what it was. I just kind of did it, turned it in. They didn't say anything, and then they said, cool, it's perfect pizza little thing, and then it sold out. And I was just like, so they're like, here, it's like 7 Ethereum. I'm like, oh, cool. I'm like, what's Ethereum? Like, you know, and it's like 17 grand or like, and then it just kept growing because the whole thing was just kind of kept blowing up. And I was like, whoa, this is something, but still kind of skeptical. I was like, well, this is not real. Like,
of course. This
is like what's crypto, what's all this, and started learning. And I'm like, oh, you can liquidate this, or wait, this is real, like this
is real money,
this is real, like, oh. And then it just kind of blew up. And then later on, these were kind of like gifts, like the forging of the sneakers. Also, like people that bought the NFT were able to, like, I got my own like shoe through Artifact,
a physical shoe.
So like that was like the gift to the collectors, like they were gonna get a shoe from Artifact. But then later on, you hear about like I think it's like 2021, they get acquired by Nike, and so now this shoe that was already awesome turned into like an even more epic thing, because now you did a collaboration with Nike, and they're posting you, and you're doing all this stuff, and it's all buzz, it's all kind of just like hype and all that, and to me it's like I did it, you know. It's like, oh cool, I got like my own like shoe that it's only available to collectors, so it's like it almost seems like it never happened, and now it's like they totally like disappeared. Like, so it's like there's rug pulling and there's all these things about like things, and I'm like, well, I believe in the teams, and I'm like I don't really show any hate. I think there's enough negativity. I think I did something and that counted, and that was that, you know.
Exactly. You know, and I think that's interesting that you brand it that way, because I mean it's taking you also a good amount of time to build what you've done, from your art to your music to the you know, the TV stuff that you're doing with Mas Fun, is it?
Yeah, Mas Fun TV is a project I started with my friend Vincent. It was, I got to do that, you know. I got to a piece of like I got to fund my own dreams for a little bit, you know. It's like it was a cool, nice breath, and I was like, oh man, I actually get to just create and not have to, because I was like living off of this stuff for a bit, and I was like, whoa, I get to do me, you know. It's like I get to learn how to draw, and I get to learn how to like wake up, go to my own place and my own studio, like my own like little creative, like I call it Ufalandia. Like so that's like something that I kind of started in my head. I'm like, well, I created this whole like my own little Disneyland, my own studio where I could create art and like do oofy things that I call it, like it's just create Mas Fun, you know. And like everybody, like same things you're doing. I just like I know a lot of people, and like my friend like kind of pointed it out. He's like, hey dude, you know a lot of cool, interesting people. We should just like do a podcast. And I'm like, I don't want to really just do a podcast. I want to like I grew up on television and that style of things. I'm like, I want to create commercials. I see what's happening with like everything on Instagram. Everybody became channels, and I'm like, well, we can create this network that can hold some of these channels. Right now I'm kind of like the test dummy for it. I'm
The
just
test
like,
dummy?
well, pretty much. It's like, well, it's Richie, but I'm like, well, I think I'm done being a selfish artist, you know. I think there's enough of that already, and I think I'm kind of like, well, it's me gets boring, you know. And then you're just kind of surrounded by yourself, and yourself is kind of like a lot of mental health stuff, you know. So it's just like, that's why I like talking to people and communicating. I think I like doing the interviews and talking to friends, because it's like we're all kind of struggling together, you know. And I think if we can like vent to each other and like kind of like, oh wait, we're all kind of trying to figure out something.
Yeah, you know, and a lot of the times these type of conversations, you know, I walk out of here feeling with a new, fresh take on life, you know, and like, okay, I can reset my intentions again and kind of just keep going with what I'm doing, you know. And I think that's an interesting part where at least I found through your expressions, again, through the music. I caught your performance at Fotolandia last year, and that was the first time I saw you performing music, you know, and that was like, what? This is crazy, you know, because I think for a lot of for a first-time listener, they're probably like, whoa, this sounds trippy.
I think at first it wasn't supposed to be, it's just kind of a joke, really. Like it was one of those things that like 2020, I just started writing a lot of stuff. Just kind of, my feelings were just kind of like, and they're simple feelings. There's nothing crazy, you know. It wasn't nothing super complex. I'm not like MF Doom. I'm not trying to like, I'm not rapping. And it's kind of funny because people are like, damn, you're rapping now. I'm like, no, I'm just melodically speaking. Like I'm just talking in a melodic manner. I'm just kind of like, I have a lot of feelings, and that art wasn't really, it's just all art, you know. It wasn't just, it's just different ink. It's just kind of like with your mouth. And it just kind of like was one of those things that I'm like, oh, this is how I express myself now. Like this is how I'm expressing myself at the moment. You know? It's not like anything too crazy. It's just one of those like, hey, I'm just doing this right now, and it feels right, you know. And with the music, it's just an extension of where I'm at right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a great way to put it, because again, you're becoming the embodiment of your creativity. You know, as creatives, you can be scared sometimes to chase an idea because you don't think anybody else is gonna like it, but you should be doing things really for yourself. Because much like you too, you know, I at some point I was trying to do graphic design, trying to do the whole school stuff, and it didn't really work out for me in that sense. But I took it upon myself to learn.
I feel like it has, because like we see it in this show, you know.
Yeah.
Like you're getting to do it. Like, you don't think you're doing anything, but like at the same time, you're doing so much.
Yeah, dude, and it's a handful of everything. Basically, you're the person who's creating this whole world, this whole universe. Very much in my place, I'm in charge of making sure this thing kind of keeps moving as well.
Yeah. We're world builders, and I think we're all kind of like doing it in our own way and like helping each other by expanding our universe.
Yeah.
Like the more opportunities we get, the more we can like showcase what's cool. What should be highlighted.
Yeah. And now in terms of the world building aspect of things, like how did that get started within you? Like when did you decide that you wanted to express yourself this way?
I think I've always been doing it. That's how I communicate. Yeah. Like I've always been like a kid of like, I need attention, and like I'm like that's probably next comedy. It's just like how can I express myself even more, Mm-hmm. And that's just kind of like constantly challenging yourself and just being in the moment of like, hey, this is how I talk now.
Yeah. No, I mean that takes a lot of strength. You're doing it for yourself.
Yeah, but like also it's just like, all right, the time of selfishness is like enough selfish artists. It's mm-hmm. more like, all right, like when like lose yourself and like in the thought, you're just like, all right, how do I creatively get myself out of this? I'm mm-hmm. creating during not so happy time. It's like, how do you create during like wartime? Like right now we're kind of creating towards like, how do you create fun when life is not fun? Mm-hmm. And right now the grime was one of those things. Like it was like, oh, like I would grime out like the celebrities and stuff, and now it's like this is what it's turning into. It's like now it's like, oh, you're manifesting all this stuff, and you're mm-hmm. like, oh, here it is. Like,
but I mean that feels like it was kind of also thrown upon you, like you just kind of had to like catch up to what you were doing. I think from based on like how you started with the like the Grime Art started, like you just got recognized.
You kind of don't even notice. You just kind of like the Vice thing did like get me to be out there. It gave me like that platform helped me get more work. Mm-hmm. And now I'm at a place where like, well, what was all this work for? So then that creates like a mental block, and you're just like,
yeah,
you're like, now I have responsibility. Now I think once you started to become the artist, or you start like actually accepting it, it's artist versus artist, or me versus me. And that's like, for me, it kind of did like debilitate me a little bit. It's like, it's one of those things that not many people see, because on my Instagram and everything, they only see the happy stuff, like the highlight stuff. And that's fine. I think we should be good distractors, for people. And I think we should create to kind of like get somebody else out of a crummy mood, Mm-hmm. And I'm glad my art did that for people. And when I do meet people, I have to remind myself that, hey, like, be happy, that somebody likes your art. Don't like respond and react like negatively, because like they appreciate what you do. So it's like when I do meet a fan, or I do meet somebody that appreciates what I did for them or whatever, I go like, thank you so much, because literally they support you. Every shirt they buy, every print they purchase, because they're sharing your work, so they're expanding your universe, your Ufalandia, they're downloading your app, and they're doing these things. And it's like, I have to remind myself to be super grateful about every little thing that happens.
Mm-hmm. And now, for any point during your career, you felt like you plateaued? Is that when you felt you had to change what you were doing to kind of continue making yourself feel like you were being purposeful?
Yeah, and that's with the music and stuff. I didn't plateau. It's just getting bored again,
Oh, okay.
It was one of those things that's like, oh, I'm just bored, Mm-hmm. And like, I'm doing so good with the art. It's kind of like, it drove my wife crazy. I was like on this, like, oh, I'm getting all these jobs and all this, and then like start doing other stuff. And then you just kind of, it's just natural though. You're not going to like, if you're bored, you're just going to kind of evolve. So like the grime was becoming work, and everything was just like that.
Yeah.
But everything changes with the algorithms, and everything is like, hey, like stuff doesn't just find you anymore. You have to be like super like evolved with how technology is going. And then I'm lazy.
Yeah.
I think that's one of those things. I'm just lazy, and I'm like, man, things don't just fall in your lap anymore, you know? And sometimes it feels like the algorithm punishes you, and you're just kind of like, you have to. I'm a person from the. I used to computer. I'm pretty good at the computer now. I'm like, I don't know how to computer anymore. You know, it's like I used to be super good at the internet, and now it's just like in the blink of an eye, it evolved in front of me, and I'm like, but that's what happens with everything. Like the generation, it's just a new generation, and just like make yourself cool. Like don't like adapt to like, all right, like I don't know how to TikTok. It's like things. So I'm like now I'm like gotta go to TikTok school and learn how to like transfer over my stuff to do that, but without I don't really like adapting to the trends that much, so that I resist a lot. But I'm like, well, that's just life right now, so it's just like figure it out, you know.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because I have a 12-year-old son, and the other day he called me an old head, and you know that's normally where you call, you know, you're an elder or something, you know, somebody that's a little older than you, and I was like, what?
That's disrespectful. I was kidding.
When did I become an old head? And he's like, yeah, but whatever. But, you know, to the point is like, yeah, no, I completely agree with that. And, you know, I've had in my moments of, you know, up until a point, I didn't really call myself an artist, even if I have the abilities to create. You know, I can draw, I can play around with animation and stuff, but I just felt it very like fake of me to like call myself that when I wasn't necessarily doing it consistently every day.
But you are an Eddie though, right? You know?
Hey,
I think if anything that I can like inspire people to do is be more themselves, and that's what Moss Fun TV, that's what my Instagram is, and that's what my art is. It's just be yourself, and that's gonna be good enough, you know. Make your that it'll just be cool, you know. The fact that you're just gonna do yourself, it's gonna inspire so many other people to do like greater, you know.
Now I kind of got the idea that you might have been a little bit more like introverted, I guess, when you were younger. Like, would you say that was true? Or at least like, because I know public speaking was one of those things that was really hard for you.
What does that word mean? I was kidding.
I was like, wait, what?
Introverted. I don't know. I've always been like the same, you know. It's just kind of like, I like entertaining people. I like looking around the room and making sure everybody's doing good, and like I like when people are happy, you know. I think that makes me happy. Other people's happiness. Do I always find my own happiness? No, like it's very difficult to find my own happy a lot of the times. And like you're showing, you were telling me that like your art, you know, like everything that you've done, and it's, you know, it's one of those things that's still not good enough, or what's wrong? You know, what's wrong with this? What's wrong with my art? And you start to question everything, and you're just like, it has nothing to do with you. You have no control of that feeling, you know. But like, it's temporary moments of like finding happy, you know. But that's where we're at.
Do you have any specific thing that you do to you know, kind of bring yourself back to, I wouldn't say reality, but something that grounds you?
Life, bills. My wife reminds me, she's very good at helping me. She like, you know, I have really good friends around me. I have like a really good circle around me. Like, you know, we're all floating balloons. When you get super big, you start floating away, but she's always there to kind of pull me back down to reality and keep me grounded. And sometimes you need that, you know. I think there's too many like selfish artists nowadays where it's like, well, yeah, we don't need that. Like, I'm not into being an artist just to release a t-shirt, you know. Like like I need to make a sustainable living, but like, let me find out how to do that in my way, you know.
Yeah. And I know through Mas Fun TV, like I've seen some of those interviews that you've done as well. Like, what was the idea, or where do you see this going on in the next couple of years?
Hopefully more channels, you know. I think there's a lot of cool people, and there's already people creating a lot of content, and hopefully they let me borrow some cool footage or like channels or episodes or something to create more fun, you know. And like, I think more festivals, more live entertainment. I think I want to do more like live pop-ups and like build stuff for, like, we're part of Mucho Gusto. I'm part of that committee, and we're like putting this festival where it's just a lot of like moving parts and stuff, where it's just creating another like fun, happy space to enjoy yourself. I think I was super inspired last year. There was this one little moment at one of the festivals we did and they were promised like kids activities, and for some reason there wasn't any. And I saw these two kids just kind of like playing kick shoe. Like this fool took off his shoe, and they started just kicking his shoe, and they were just like, I was like, wow, that's cool. Like they figured it out, you know. They entertained themselves, you know. And that, I don't know, that visual just stuck out. I was like, wow, they're playing kick shoe. Like I haven't played that in a while.
You know, sometimes out of boredom, you know, you get the greatest ideas. And I think I like reminding myself that too when I'm like just sitting down and like I have nothing to do and I feel like I'm wasting my time. I'm like, nah, just let the ideas cook up in your head right now and just, you know, enjoy now.
You never know where the inspiration is going to come from most of the time. You can't force it, you know. Like, that's just bottom line. You can't force that, you know.
How do you handle that when, you know, when you yourself, you know, you're basically self-employed as an artist? Like, how do you deal with that?
You get a job. You do it as long as possible until it's not, you know. And there's nothing wrong with just going back in and out of those things, you know. You want to sustain what you're doing, so it's like, well, if it makes it easier at times, it's like, I've done it. Like I was full time since 2012 to 24. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna jump back in that warehouse. Just because it's like, dude, like in the something's happening right now, and like I'm not getting jobs how I used to, and I'm like, you know, that's before it gets any crazier, you know, like let's figure it out, you know. Like it was just reading the room. I was like, well, there's a shift happening, and I'm like, I'm either gonna like keep struggling or I'm just gonna like do both, you know, because it's like it just provides for more, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
because I'm not selling any albums, you know. I'll still sell like prints. I'm still selling stuff, but it's just like, well, that's cool, you know. But I want to put back into my business too, you know. Like we want to like make it grow, but the only way to make it grow is by investing back into it, you know. But that's like a constant.
Yeah, you constantly have to be doing that, and that's
stickers aren't free, you know. Stickers cost a lot of money to make, and you're giving these out, you know. And it's like, well, that's a better business card, you know.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, because I have stickers on my laptop, on everything. I'm just slapping them on, you know.
It's just one of those. It's just the way, no, just how we communicate, you know. Stickers.
Yeah, no, it's interesting to hear from somebody that's been doing this for years. Like this is their ambitions and their dreams. Like, and hearing them be human about how these experiences are still a constant thing happening. It just, you know, makes you reflect that again. We're all struggling with something, like you said earlier. We're all trying to figure it out,
and we're all inspiring each other too. Like, cause I love what you're doing with your animations and stuff, and I'm like, it hypes me up when I see stuff like that. You know, I'm like, wow, you're using all that stuff you learned to like produce your episodes and stuff. Like, it's super inspiring.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. No, thank you. Appreciate that.
For me, it was like a humbling experience. I found my inner paisa, you know. I was like, I went back to work, and it was super humbling, and it reminded me to be human again, you know. Like it's like it got me out of like whatever high horse or whatever artist mentality I was in, you know. And I'm like, well, I got to appreciate what like hard work is, you know. And like I haven't done that in many years, and I would sit and wait for an email or like, you know. And it's like, I don't know. I kind of felt like, all right, I'm faking it or like or something, and that's why I started doing the music. I started struggling with that because it's like, well, that's not making me any like money.
Yeah.
Even though I started to, it's like, wow, I was getting those are cool gigs because I'm like performing by myself, and then like I don't have a band, so it's like that's my money, like like
100%.
Yeah. So I was actually gigging, but it's like that doesn't come all the time, you know. And it's like that, like, all right. I gotta pick a struggle, you know, and that's
you gotta pick a struggle. Yeah, that's
I had to. I was like, well, again, my wife was like, hey, dude, like, we need leche.
Those huevos,
man. Those huevos, man. Those huevos now, like, oh man, they're expensive.
I went to Food for Less the other day, and like 3 people like converged right in the middle of the huevo aisle. We're like, is that the price really? And we're like, that's the price. And we just walked out with I got 18 pack of huevos there.
18 baller.
Dude, it was a cheap. Food for Less has the best prices. Just saying that right now.
Food for less.
Food for Less. Yeah, but in reality, I think it's important for people to hear this stuff because again,
you get super negative. You're like, oh man,
Exactly.
you start to become a hater. You start as people start being successful. You're like, oh, why are they doing so good? I'm not doing great. And like that's why I started a Haters Anonymous like class or meeting or whatever. It's just
I'm gonna have to join that because I'm telling you, at some point, I have to admit, I was getting to the point where I was letting those thoughts just get to me, or like I was turning into that hater. That I was like, I'm never gonna be a hater.
But the first step is acceptance.
No.
You have to accept, like, you know what, you are gonna be a hater. Like it's just this is natural. Good and evil. It's like you have to talk yourself out of that mentality. Obviously, like, wait, who am I hating on? That's my brother. That's my friend. That's like, wait. Right. So you start to understand the hate, and it's like I think it's natural to just like. That's why the meetings are so important and you're gonna be so crucial because it's like we all hate the same sometimes, and it's like it's all kind of silly. It's like what do you really want? And you kind of like look into yourself and you're like, oh, okay, I wasn't being a hater. I wasn't being a hater.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good way to do it because it all comes down to that self-reflection, and I think that goes far. It takes you super far if you really allow yourself to. And I think that's what I hope people get out of conversations like this, or any conversation where two people are like just taking the time to really get to know each other to the point where I understand and empathize with like the struggles that you faced as well, and that you are going to continue facing just based on what you're telling me. But I'm also hoping that the best for you, and I think that's the kind of energy that should be exchanged.
And that's energy. Like you can say that with saying nothing,
Yeah.
But it just shows like these things that we do and these things that we create. It's like you don't have to say anything, You can just kind of like energies alone. It's just like, oh wait, just like our vibes. That's crazy.
Yeah. Now, with your style, how did you get started with all of this? Like, I think I kind of heard that you were influenced by like skate culture, right?
My community, I grew up skateboarding in like San Bernardino and Rialto, and like I was just a language, that's how grime started. Like, it's grimy, and that's why when I started the hashtag digital death and grime, because at the time I was working, so digital death was the work part of it, and grime was what I like to do. So I just put it together, digital death and grime, and that was the vibe, that was the lingo. That's how we talk. And grimy was just one of those things. It wasn't good or bad. Like the stuff, like, people were like, oh, when you grime that, you mean you hate it. I'm like, no, it brings attention to that, the focal point is this piece, this portrait or whatever, this drippy art. And you have to make stuff cool for people to pay attention, And I knew that it's all tools. It's like the internet, hashtags, everything was just like, oh, but now that I got the attention, I'm like, well, what do I have to say?
Yeah,
And now everybody's looking at me and I don't even know how to juggle. So it's like, oh man, I gotta have these people. You get this sphere of influence around you. You don't know how big it is. And it's like, are you just gonna sell t-shirts or what are you gonna do with that? Like it's gonna happen to everybody. Everybody's gonna have this viral moment. And it's like, what are you doing with it? There's a lot of things, but right now it's very complicated because look around us, everything's on fire. It's very intense right now. And I think people need a little bit of hope, a little bit of like, I don't need a t-shirt, I need, I just need some guidance. I think we all we all need a little bit of like schooling. We need somebody to help us like relax, like if I'm going to be a distractor, I'm going to be a good distractor, I'm going to be a happy one, I think with influencers and all that stuff, I'm like, all I'm seeing is like cults, it's like, it's very dangerous. It's very like, what are these people making these people do? What are they influencing? So I'm like, oh man, that becomes like that responsibility, I'm like, well, that's where I stopped. I was like, whoa, what am I doing with this? And it's like, oh, I'm just bringing fun, just helping people relax around me and realize, like, because right now I just pan back and I'm like, well, it's like I never left high school, I'm a loner again. And I look around all these cool people doing stuff and I'm back to where I was by myself, and that's fine. I think that's where I work best. It's like, cool, let me look at everything going on and decide when I want to jump in, because right now it seems like if you're just trying to be viral, that's attainable.
Yeah, in the through all this in the back end, you're still working, continuing to master your craft, right? I mean, you're just not just, I mean, which is okay too if you want to just sit back and not do anything at all. But
And for a while, I was doing nothing. You know, that's why it's like right now. That's why the warehouse is cool, because it's like I get to see realness. I get to like, it helps my mental health. It's kind of like it's like an 8-hour workout. You know, if you want to lose weight, get a job. a hard job, not a regular job. Not a Starbucks job. No, not making coffee. Go load some boxes, no. And I love telling people that. I'm like, well, it's whatever. It's just like, it's cool.
Yeah. I think, especially through social media, I think a lot of people have touched on this before, but there's just everything's so filtered, right? That we don't, like you said earlier, we don't get to see anything else outside of just like the fun stuff that you're not you necessarily are trying to produce in itself, but like our perception of what is real it gets skewed. But again, I feel like these conversations are just hearing somebody in your position just be real about it.
I started like you, like everybody else. It's like I started with the mask.
Yeah.
Dela Deso was the mask. Dela Deso was created by Richie Velazquez, which was directed by Ricardo Manuel Velazquez. So it's like phases. Right now, I'm just kind of transitioning from Dela Deso to Richie. This is me, and then I think once I get to the Ricardo, that's the fool that's gonna be directing. That's the guy. That's the artist.
Yeah.
But I'm not. I don't even think I'm not even close to that yet. I'm still kind of expressing myself, like doing this. Like it's hard. It's like all I hear is my breath. You're focusing on so much. Like, am I making a face, or like, do I have lint? Do I got mocos? Like, it's like you're thinking so much. So it's like you're learning how to be human again. And it's like, oh man, like, and like you said, like the world is kind of chaotic right now. So like I created Ufolandia, my own little world, so I can jump in and be free,
Like you touched base early on, like the idea of when you get to this point and you realize that you have like this, everybody's looking at you. Now you have to kind of come face with the responsibility that that's a pressure that I don't think most of us can ever comprehend, because, nobody's ever in the spotlight like that unless you're like chasing for that. I don't know. I can't even answer that question if it came down to me too,
Well, you're not even going to notice when it's happening.
Yeah.
And it's, you have to be super aware of the now, and be more like, appreciate this moment. Because what if this moment is making it, So you're not even going to feel like, oh, was I popular?
Yeah.
Or did this happen? Did I become an artist? And you won't even notice, So it's like you have to be like, I'm learning how to be more now too, and it's just like it's hard because it's like with the Instagram, you're always looking into that, and it's like, oh man, like I can't. I have so many distractions now, and I'm like, that's why like a normal job was cool, because it's like I'm not on my phone, for hours, I'm like. So it does help to kind of like realize that, it's like, it's not that deep.
It's not that deep.
It's not. Well, we make it that deep,
Yeah.
I think we kind of constantly me versus me.
Yeah. Now, you kind of mentioned that, you feel like you're going to work up to this version of yourself, which is Ricardo, right? Like, what does that look like to you? Like, what does that mean to you?
Maybe stability, maybe more confidence. Because right now it's like I lack a lot of that, and it helps when other people are like, you're doing good, because I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I am.
Yeah.
But right now I think that guy will be very confident and very mentory, I think he would be like a counselor. I think he'd be helping like taller children become more or be more confident as well.
Oh, that's powerful. Really? That's
weird, huh?
Nah, it's powerful, because I mean, again, I appreciate you being vulnerable with me about this, because again, it's not easy to just be open with somebody when you don't even know them, and then on top of that, telling a whole audience about it, but that's what's real. And a lot of the things that you're saying, it
Now I'm putting my mask back on. Now I lost all my confidence
No,
now.
bring your confidence back. Keep it. No, and it's, again, it goes back to the whole thing. It's a process. It's a whole journey that we're gonna get to experience, obviously, till we die. But it doesn't mean that we're ever gonna get to that point of perfection either.
you're just you're gonna be more free, you know. You're not gonna work. Nothing's perfect. Nothing. That's what Mas Fun is. That's what my art is. It's not perfect. I'm not the best artist.
Yeah.
I'm just good at like just doing it, you know. And like when you're not thinking about stuff, that's when like the best stuff comes out, you know. And like that's why I appreciate like my music, and that's like that's how I'm expressing myself lately, you know, because it's a whole package now. Like I have my own jingles to my own movie, you know, where it's like, and I made that, you know. That's paying attention to the tools that are out there. I create the sticker packs on Giphy, and I do everything. So I'm like, I have my titles, I have my soundtrack, and I have me, you know.
You were seeing a sticker pack on Giphy is the one where you upload stickers onto Instagram. You can see them on Instagram and stuff.
Instagram, like TikTok.
Oh, okay, I've seen them.
But there's like 2,000, so you can't even find how. I work so fast that I just like, nobody sees stuff. So it's just like, oh man, you're constantly have to like repeat to remind people that you're doing stuff, you know, because like one post is not enough, you know, or like you have to like think like a television, like play the rerun.
Exactly.
Play it again. It's new to somebody else every day, you know, and I think I forget too. That's why I make the stickers to remind myself for the most part, you know. A lot of pink, you know, but like there's a lot of things that say like take out the trash, you know.
Yeah,
like things that remind, like things that other people do, you know. Like that's why like comedy is super important, because that's like they're funny because it's relatable content, you know. And that's how I navigate a lot of what I do, is to like that, you know, humorous like mindsets, you know.
I like how your mind works, man. Like honestly, it's
mostly the mustache.
the mustache is the one talking to me right now.
That's the real brain.
Now, like this art persona that you created, Dela Deso, like where did that come from? Like, when did you start moving away from that identity to Richie, where you say you're currently at?
2018, I was kind of deciding. I'm like, you know what? Like, this is my protest. So I was like, I'm tired. It's just kind of like I was over being over relevant. Like, what am I creating? I'm like find myself on the internet, like relevant stuff, and it just gets exhausting. And I'm like, dude, I am the NFT, I am the celebrity, I am this. So it's like I try to, okay, make this person like that I'm looking at, because now I'm looking at myself on
online here.
Online, and I'm like, well, that's the product, you know. We're all kind of like the franchise, we're the corporation, you know. And like, and that's when I kind of realized, I'm like, well, let me work at this guy. I don't know, let me make him like something, you know, and like make him a good thing, you know, and like, and mold that. And so it's like you can mold yourself. And it's like when I started performing, I'm like, you don't get nervous? I'm like, no, not really, because I'm just like, I think the weirder the better. I'm like, I'm looking at the crowd and they're like, what is this? You know, they're confused, but they're also like, whoa. I get that one, like, I like that. Like that one face that's like, oh, that was it right there, or that was cool. And they'll come after and they're like, hey, that was really cool thing. That was it. So I was like, all right, it's working.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen right away.
You mentioned right now about the mask. Like, I'm going to put my mask back on. Like,
you were going to say Batman mask. I know what kind of mask you wear. I have one in my car.
I'll bring it out later.
I was going to put on my Batman mask. Wait a minute. This is live, huh? Oh, man.
But you mentioned the mask.
He has to have a Batman mask now for this episode.
The NFT is going to have an accessory with the Batman mask.
NFT. Don't NFTs me, man.
I know.
That's my age right there, huh?
That was yeah. But like, why did you feel like there was a need for that mask in the first place? Like, is that something you can like
well, because you're scared. You're just scared. I think everything's easier if you wear a mask, right? Because it's not you. If you don't like have confidence, or you're trying to hide, it's just easier, you know. It's not you. I think we're all like MF Doom. That's all that came from, you know. It was just like the words. My message is more important than me, you know.
Yeah.
And he kept that life, you know, and that's kind of one of the masks that I respect. And you start to see it everywhere. You see like all these celebrities, all these people wearing it all the time, and you see their eyes, and it's like, you know, like it's exhausting. And like there's people, these heroes, there's people like Robin Williams, there's like all these amazing people, and you're like, man, they were sad. You know?
Yeah, no,
They were.
it's true.
And if you don't have the right people around you, it's like, man, we're not here forever.
Mhm.
You know, it's like I always have this like vision of me like we're kind of born in this free fall
Mhm.
without a parachute. We're all gonna hit the floor. You know it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Might as well start doing like flips and all this stuff on the way down.
Yeah.
Let's have fun while we're here.
Yeah.
And it's like constantly reminding myself, and it's hard. Bills, life. You have like, if it was just easy, it'd be easy. But it's like American Gladiators. There's all these obstacles. There's all these things flying at you, and it's like, I don't even think dying's easy anymore. It's like there's so many consequences to that. It's like, so it's like. We owe it to the world to kind of figure our own life, or not even figure your life out. I think just live your life and create it. Live your path, and I think you'll have a good time.
Yeah.
The struggle is gonna be the thing you write about.
Hey, that's facts. That's, yeah.
I think.
I think no.
A lot of this stuff is not happy stuff. Like a lot of this stuff is like, look, there's like Bible trimming. But there's also a lot of fun stuff, I think this is like my playbooks. These are things that I like, and I have a bunch of these. Like you just forget. You just. I think I started to grow more once I started like journaling, because you do a lot, And then with Instagram, with live, it's just like you feel like, I can't even remember what I ate yesterday.
Yeah, yeah. Everything's like,
but I do because it's in here.
Yeah.
It's like, so it's like it's important to like respect your life, and like. And have fun with it.
Yeah, that's true. A long time ago, I remember having a sketchbook, and I've looked back on it now, and I'll like see some like cheesy quotes that I'll write, But I still
just do it. That's copyright.
It's copyrighted. Don't ever see that notebook. But I remember helping. And right now that you brought that up, a couple days ago, my partner, she told me, she was like, you know what, I'm gonna start journaling, and she was there writing and doing her thing. And I started thinking, like, you know what? That's actually a really good idea. It's been a while since I've been able to just write things down. And it kind of gives you a way to organize what's going on up here, in your head. And just setting it down and just letting it play out and it evolve in its own, And I think that's one of those cool things that we should allow ourselves more often to run. Like you said, just being blasted in front of the TV, doom scrolling.
Because you're not, like, using your phone and just filming everything, You're just, this is, like, sacred, This is kind of like, this is just for you. This is just reminding you that, hey, like, relax.
Yeah. But just to touch base on the concept of the mask, like, you were saying that, and I realized that, Social Primate, the ape, it was a form for me to kind of express myself without feeling like sometimes I don't speak completely like fluent, or like I'm stuttering, or I'm making these mistakes, and I feel super self-conscious about it.
You're an ape.
Because I'm an ape.
I don't know nothing. I'm an ape. You tell me.
Yeah, so
use grime. But that's the thing you were mentioning. Like, we don't really know each other, but like I knew you could before because of just looking at your work and everything that you do. So I felt pretty at ease, Yeah. I was just like, well, this is me too.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for the conversation, man. I appreciate like the feedback and the wisdom, because I think somebody looks at your work, somebody just looks at you, the way you handle yourself, and you kind of keep yourself composed, at least to an extent, in the public's eye, at least from what we can see. But even if you weren't, like, you're real, and I think it gives everybody a perspective of the capabilities that we can do with our own selves as well.
I hope so.
I'm gonna. Can you tell me a little bit about the songs that we're gonna be playing before we sign up?
Just like it's just me being me. A lot of stuff is just produced on my phone. It's not too serious. I had some collaborators, some people I worked that kind of gave me tracks, and I was like, whoa, I'm doing this now. And it's just like, I think it's like, if you find it relatable, it's just kind of like, all right, it is.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be just like, it might sound sad, but it makes me super happy. So it's one of those things I do to release my feelings.
And then since we're going to be signing off before, obviously after the music here, where can people find you? Like, if they want to check out some of your work?
Go ahead and download the app, Moss Fun TV. It's on Apple, the iOS system. It's on the Google Play. It's on Apple TV. If you have a Roku, you can download the app through there. There'll be more stuff coming soon. You can go to my website, deladeso.com, and also just follow me at on my Instagram at Deso. If you like the music, Spotify, iTunes, all those platforms as well. Dela space Deso.
Thank you so much again, Richie. With that, we're gonna leave you with some tracks. Are they from a specific album, or just they can find all of these in Spotify? You said, right?
It's the best. Ooh.
It's the best too. I love it. Thank you so much for tuning in. You're listening to KQBHLP, Los Angeles, California, 101.5 FM. You're listening to The Social Primate, and we will catch you guys next week. And I'll put some music up. Let me cue up real quick. Oh, not Michael Jackson.
I like Michael Jackson.
I love Michael Jackson, but it's not his time.
Can I karaoke my own music?
Have a good night, everybody.
Check. Uno, one, 2. This is what I'm feeling now. Everything is falling down. There is no room for mistakes. Everyone is saying so, all reaching for more, and all I want to do is dance. Just dance. Just dance. This is what I'm feeling now. Everything is falling down. There is no room for mistakes. Everyone is saying so, all reaching for more, and all I want to do is dance. Just dance. I don't hear you dancing. Just dance. Do 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 do. Just dance. Me versus me. This was never about me winning something. Never needed someone who wasn't me. From the start. Maybe in another life we could have been something. Maybe in another life we could have been something. Maybe in another life we could have been something. Maybe in another life we could have been something else. I'm losing you. I needed to tell you. I can't think. I don't know the words. Maybe in another life we could have been something. Maybe in another life we could have been something. Maybe in another life we could have been something. Maybe in another life we could have been something else. I need you to do these things you don't want to do, but you do them anyways. I don't know. Maybe in another life we could have been something. Maybe in another life we could have been something. Maybe in another life we could have been something. Maybe in another life we could have been something else. Or maybe in this life too. You never know. You never know. Just kidding. This one's by my buddy Quest, The Beat. I'm not forcing you to stay. I have nothing left to say. Guess I'm having a bad day. Hey. I just want to be okay with you. I just wanna be okay. I just wanna be okay again. Just okay, okay? Yes, I made a few mistakes, and I'll probably make more. No more useless excuses. I'll do whatever it takes. I'm not pushing you away. I let work get in the way again. I just want to be okay with you. I just wanna be okay. I just wanna be okay again. The kids are calling that one a bop. They're not though.
That's a sweet beat right there, though.
You can sing along too.
Sweet.
This one's one of my favorites. I'm so glad I found you. Only the happy, the misled youth. Just me starting over. I used a telephone. I used a telephone. I late to the show. The game is almost over. No more supply. No more demand. I never thought of you. I never thought of you. I never thought of you. I never knew. This is what I thought would happen. This is what I hoped for. This is what I thought would happen. This is what I hoped for. This is what I thought would happen. This is what I hoped for. This is what I thought would happen. This is what I hoped for.
Banger after banger.
It's okay, huh? Now I'm putting you guys to sleep. This one's produced by my good friend Burnaby.
This one might be the last one too, so enjoy it.
We'll see you guys soon. I used to act like yo no sé. Pretended everything was okay. I just left the bad for another day. I let the good melt away. Let the good melt away, 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 away. I used to act like yo no sé. Yo no sé. Yo no sé. I used to act like yo no sé. Yo no sé. Yo no sé. I used to act like yo no sé. Yo no sé. Yo no sé. I used to act like yo no sé. The message is simple. The answer's right there. No better answer. No better trains. No matter what future no time for space. The rebirth and the death comes faster. You dropped your phone again. I